Baik, selamat datang kembali teman-teman semua di acara Jalur Rempah Indonesia, Spice Up Your Fashion menuju Warisan Budaya UNESCO. Kegiatan ini terlaksana atas kerjasama dan dukungan penuh dari Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan, BUMN, dan Perum PFN. Pihak lain yang juga ikut terlibat dalam kegiatan ini antara lain Institut Kesenian Jakarta, LaSalle College, Eco Fashion Indonesia, Komisi Ekonomi Kreatif Kalimantan Selatan. Tidak berpanjang-panjang, untuk memulai sesi kedua kita di hari pertama ini, kami ingin mengundang Bapak Hilmar Farid sebagai Direktur Jenderal Kebudayaan, Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan untuk memberikan kata sambutan. Silakan Bapak.
Saya Hilmar Farid, Dirjen Kebudayaan di Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan, mengucapkan selamat datang di Masterclass untuk Spice Up Your Fashion. Merupakan bagian dari program Jalur Rempah yang bermaksud merevitalisasi lagi hubungan-hubungan yang sudah terbentuk selama ratusan tahun di Nusantara ini dan bahkan juga menjalar sampai ke Samudra Hindia dan Afrika Timur. Dan tentu saja walaupun namanya Jalur Rempah, bukan hanya rempah yang dipertukarkan, tetapi juga ada banyak sekali elemen kebudayaan termasuk di dalamnya fashion. Dan kita tahu di Indonesia dan juga di belahan lain sepanjang jalur rempah ini ada tradisi tekstil yang sangat kuat, dan kita ingin melalui masterclass ini mendengar lebih banyak pengalaman dari negara lain, dalam kasus ini India, sehingga mampu membuka lebih luas wawasan kita mengenai apa-apa yang mungkin dilakukan di masa mendatang. Dan berterima kasih juga kepada narasumber yang sudah hadir dalam kesempatan ini. Semoga saja kehadirannya di dalam kegiatan ini bisa membuka wawasan kita bersama untuk memicu kreativitas di masa mendatang.
Hai, kembali lagi kita berjumpa. Perum PFN berkolaborasi dengan Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan, Direktorat Pemanfaatan Budaya dalam Jalur Rempah Indonesia dalam acara Spice Up Your Fashion. Nah, Mary, sepertinya kita sudah tidak sabar lagi siapa dan apa yang akan dibahas di masterclass kali ini.
Banget Mas Willy.
Banget. Nah, kita serahkan langsung saja sama dengan Sunaina Batnagar, seorang fashion film producer dari India. Seperti apa keseruan pembicaraan mereka, obrolan-obrolan mereka? Yuk kita nonton bareng-bareng.
Hello, good people. Public Company of State Film Production, Perum PFN, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and Culture, Directorate of Cultural Utilization in the Indonesia Spice Road, trying to develop the use of spices in the aspect of the fashion industry. Could be the impact in the community, the culture, archive, or even though in motif and color itself. Here we are, Spice Up the Fashion 2020. Our discussion will be more interesting with the speakers from around the globe who will share their perspective. Our presenter after this is Sunaina Batnagar, Fashion Film Director, India, from India. She holds a BA in Media Communication, University topper, gold medalist from Mumbai University, and also Masters from London School of Economics, UK, in global media and communication. After returning to India, Sunaina worked as an assistant director with renowned Bollywood director Imtiaz Ali on big Bollywood films like Job We Met, Love Ajkal, and then as a second unit director on the film called Rockstar. After that, she works as a screenwriter for production house Maddox Films, while also worked as first assistant director on commercial ads like Pepsi, Fortune Oil, etc. She recently made her debut as writer and also director on her first feature film Dear Maya, released on 2017, and currently working on her next feature film. Please welcome Sunaina Bhatnagar.
Hi, Tiji. Thank you for
Hi.
having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you for being here with us. Yeah.
It's a pleasure. I'm excited.
Yes. I believe today you have something very, very interesting for us to share. So without further ado, I will give the time to you.
Well, I'm here today to talk about being a woman and being a fashion film director and the journey that got me to where I am today. And I was thinking about it when I first heard from you guys, and it's it's such an industry where it's different for everyone because there is no set path. For me, the journey was from first being an assistant director where I knew nothing. After completing my education, I joined a film director, a very renowned Indian director called Imtiaz Ali. And as an assistant, I observed and I learned all the techniques that he had working with actors, working with the technicians, the crew. And for a period of 5 years, I spent just apprenticing, being an assistant director and growing up the ranks. And all the while you do that, you also evolve in terms of your own tastes, in terms of what you like, what kind of things, what kind of colors intrigue you, what kind of photography intrigues you, and you kind of develop your own taste. So after that, after about 5 years, I knew it was time for me to go independent, and that's when I started shooting and directing things myself. So I worked on a whole bunch of commercials and as well as feature films, and like you said, just recently I've started work on my second feature film.
All right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sounds interesting. And
Yeah,
congratulations.
it has been quite a journey. Thank you.
Yeah.
And today what we are talking about, the element of spice and how it brings what it does in fashion. So I'm from India, and when you say spice in India, we automatically think of turmeric and saffron and cinnamon, and these are things that are very a big part of our food. Just naturally, our food is spicier than most, so we use a lot of these spices. And in terms of our general day-to-day, India is known for its vibrant colors. So I was trying to figure out which came first. Did the colors come into our fabrics first, or did did we take inspiration from the spices? But when I did a little research, I saw that it's a very interesting history between the two. In fact, this is something that I learned while doing research recently, was that as early as like 1700 BC in Indian history, textile workers were using turmeric and were using cinnamon and saffron to dye fabric. And that was their version of eco-friendly textiles, that instead of using chemicals for dyeing stuff, they back in the day were using naturally turmeric and saffron. So and that is something that is intriguing, because today right now there are many designers who are relooking at fashion from the point of from ecological perspective. So now they're revisiting those ancient traditions of using spice and going away from chemicals and trying to do using saffron and using turmeric and other spices which have a strong color, which leave a strong color, and they're going back to it. It is very expensive, so of course you have to be very select and niche in your product. But yes, there is a trend now that in India of going back to what we used to do, which is dyeing fabrics with turmeric and color. So yes, I mean, there are so many things that I can start about talking about spice and fashion, because I don't know how much you've seen, but all our weddings in India are, the bride wears a very red chili color dress. That's the tradition. That's the culture. That's what we wear. So red and the color, the chili color, is something that is so permeate in our culture. All these colors like turmeric, yellow. Our weddings are full of these bright neon almost colors. So what is quiche and what is maverick in the Western world, the colors that are used to make a statement are pretty standard in India. So, the colors of spice are also, it suits our complexion. These bright, bold, vibrant colors kind of speak to our natural brown color and our climate. So, I mean, the kind of frequent use of these colors of spices in India is, I don't think there's any nation that probably uses these colors as much as we do. I mean, they're, like I was saying, it was part of our tradition and culture. And you can study for case studies. You could even look at particular states like Rajasthan, for example. Rajasthan is in northern part of India, and it is one of the most culturally rich parts of our country. And the colors that women wear are turmeric, yellow. They wear red chili. Again, the bridal color. They wear that deep blue, almost on the neon shades. Cinnamon, the brown of cinnamon. These are colors that are worn in the villages of Rajasthan on a day-to-day basis, every day. That is their natural color. So the introduction of pastels was something that we took from the Western world. It's not our natural color palette. Our natural color palette is actually the reds, the turmerics, the greens, the parrot green. So there is a lot of use of these colors. There are new designers who are using them every day. But if you were to study the really big designers in India, like Sabyasachi is one of our most prized, brilliant, talented fashion costume designer, and his clothes are basically meant for weddings. They're beautiful, and they're deep, rich reds, bold cinnamon colors, yellow, brown. So I think the relationship in between India and spicing, the colors of spice, is a very interweaved one. It's been there since the very beginning, and I think India is in a way associated with it. We are exploiting it at almost every single possible turn. That's where we are. In fact, even our cities to some extent are, in Rajasthan, the same state I'm talking about, our cities are, Jaipur is considered pink city. Jodhpur is the blue city. Jaisalmer is considered the golden city. So colors, and specifically the colors of spices, is something that we have as Indians imbibed in every single facet of our lives. Our clothes reflect that just naturally. The women in villages who wear them are not trying to make any style statement. That's what they wear naturally. In cities, the culture is now more and more muted because we are globalization is taking over, and we are exposed to the Western TV shows, and our dressing stance has changed. We are adapting a palette which is much more muted and subtle. We weren't, those are not our traditional colors, but so in weddings, you will see the colors of spice really rampant, and brides in specific are meant to wear bright colors because that's supposed to be a sign of auspiciousness and happiness and prosperity. So a great deal of the business of fashion in the colors of spices is now largely around the world of weddings, and around the world, of course, of high fashion, where clothes are again more traditional and more for special occasions, and so whenever we return to the roots, we return to these colors.
Okay.
That's largely where we are.
Yeah. I'm curious about something.
Sure.
You are mentioning earlier that the colors that are mostly used on traditional fashion or even modern fashion was inspired by all the spices that actually in Indian food, right? But
Yes.
India is also very well known as a country who practicing Ayurveda, as Ayurveda
Yes.
is now very like it went global already. Were they
Yes.
in your research? You probably were there any practices, whether in the past or in the future, that the Indian designer or the Indian people traditionally use the traditional coloring agents coming from the spices
Yes.
to dye the fabrics and use it as somewhat we call it ayur wastra or
Yes.
ayur textile.
Yes.
Were they
Yes.
also such thing? Because
Yes.
we
I
also
mean,
have it in Indonesia. You probably
yes.
can enlighten us with some of that information.
Yes. That's very true what you said. I mentioned it a little bit earlier that Ayurveda has a huge impact as well on, and so the traditional dyeing, the use of herbs or
Yeah.
medicinal herbs like turmeric for dyeing clothes is actually an Ayurvedic. It's an extension of Ayurvedic practice, like you said.
Interesting.
It's called Ayurvedic textiles, is what they call it, and the idea being that the cloth that you wear covers your entire body, and you have your skin has interacts with that all day, 24 hours. So if you put medicinal herbs in it, if you use that, it's actually healing in a way.
Yeah.
So that was the thought behind it. To you and they use turmeric, which was the most dominantly used, turmeric, and also saffron. Though saffron is a very expensive herb, so saffron is it would have to be a significantly expensive piece to use saffron only to dye it. But turmeric was a very commonly used uh, dye or a herb to be used as a dye on fabric. And in recent times, that has kind of faded out with, but there is a resurgence of this practice now, and especially when now we are becoming more conscious of the impact of fashion on the environment. A lot of young designers now are thinking about this and choosing to move away from chemical processed dyes and coming back to turmeric and coming back to saffron and using cinnamon also and using that for dyeing. In fact, there are a few companies in India where you can order fabric that has been dyed organically using herbs. And so in case you don't actually want to do the process yourself, there are companies that have now started selling you dyed, organically dyed Ayurvedic textiles. So yes, that's an area which will expand in, I think, in the next 10 years, because I mean, we are only becoming more conscious of the environment.
Yeah, so people actually can ask help from such company to do natural dyeing using the natural herbs.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I can imagine that it's,
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, if they are actually companies right now that only specialize, and you can order fabric from them that has done that. But what is their scale? That is something that has to be tested. Right now, it's still in a smaller volumes because of the intricate and the expenses in it. But I think if uh, it's something that could easily be mass produced as well. I mean, it just depends on the demand for that.
Like currently, we are globally we're facing this difficult time during the pandemic era. Do you think it will also resurge the use of spices in a larger scale, not only just fashion, but if you can add more in fashion?
I think it's difficult to say whether spices would have a bigger role, because in India, I think that, you know, we are quite saturated in terms of how much we use the colors of spices already. We are not a country that is shy with our bright colors, you know. So we already use these deep colors and these bright colors in our day wear. So I don't think that it would increase too much from what it is right now. But the switch to moving to more environmental friendly techniques in general, and that includes using spices like turmeric for dyeing. That is something that I think we will definitely move towards more, because we are moving slowly. There is a level of fashion consciousness that wasn't there 5 years ago, which is there now. So people are looking at how do they make clothes which don't harm the environment. How do they, you know, leave a less imprint on the earth? So that is happening in a big way. So yes, definitely overall, I think we are heading that way. Since spices, and as you know, Ayurveda is such a common and used practice. I mean, in our food, it only makes sense to then start applying those things to other wellness activities.
Okay. Yeah. You were mentioning earlier, probably you can also enlighten us with the being a woman in India that are most probably we know that are also dominated by male.
Men, yes.
Yeah, by men. How do you see that in relates to fashion or other subjects?
India is still very much a male dominated society, and the world of filmmaking and fashion, which I've spent the last 10 years in, is completely male dominated, unfortunately. It's still, there are a lot of women who are entering the space now, and there is a lot of awareness now that, you know, women, I mean, for women entering, there are so many hurdles. People are getting more aware of it, but it's still by and large all the powerful positions are in the hands of men. So my experience with it has been two ways. Like in the film world specifically, and this is not just in India, but this is also in Hollywood. There is like maybe 1 or 2% of big budget films that are directed by female directors, and that is appalling. Imagine just 2% of, in a year, 2% of the big studio films are directed by women. The rest of the 99% of women directors and in these fields are directing small independent features with limited budgets. So that tells you that at some level men are still uncomfortable handling or handing the reins over to women with a big responsibility, because indie films are smaller ones. So there is that barrier that hasn't yet been broken, even in the West. And in India, it's obviously more of the same. We, I've seen it in my experience that when I started as a assistant director, there were a lot of women. There were a lot of women around me, and there were assistant stylists, and they were on the set. There were like maybe 8-9 women on in a set of 100 people, which is still decent. And then as I made it up the ranks, and then when I became an independent filmmaker myself, the number of women on my level decreased significantly. Now there are in total across India, there are like maybe 10-12 women who are independent filmmakers. And that's really sad that somewhere along the way we lost all the women in the going up the ranks. So that is the state of affairs as far as still very much being a male dominated world. Having said that, I don't want to sound like as it's impossible. It is you can absolutely, as a woman, make it, and you can absolutely do it. It is harder. You will have to work twice as hard. You will have to have a thick skin, and you will have to have perhaps a little bit more persistence, determination to get through. But you can do it. That I know. I've done it, and I know that it's possible to do it. It's not easy, and it's definitely easier for men. But it is possible to do it. That is what I've learned. But yes, I mean, one of the things that that is really disadvantages to women is the fact that fashion and film industry are not structured. So what happens is, if you are not taken seriously, or if there is any complaints that you need, or if there's anything that's something that bothers you, you want addressed, those addressal mechanisms are missing in the film world, or they're missing in this world, because it's so cutthroat, and there are so many people who want to make it here, that plays against us, I think, as women sometimes, because we could probably stand our ground a little bit more, and we could probably say this is right or wrong a little bit more, but we tend not to in general, because of the power dynamics, and also because of the fact that it's very difficult to address problems here. You could probably complain, but there would probably be no result of that, and it could probably it could affect your next job, affect your next role. So that's something that I think is something that we need to work towards changing.
I see.
And the only way to change it is really to get women on in the positions of power. So yeah, that's where we are. I mean, I definitely. Sorry.
Yes. So having heard about your journey so far, it's not impossible. It is possible, but we just have, as you mentioned earlier, we just have to put the women on the power. With the power.
It's definitely possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to hang in there.
Okay. So would you could we have the honor of also witnessing your hard work by previewing your movie? That we have a clip that we can share this afternoon.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So let's everyone can preview it together here today with Sunaina Bhatnagar, the movie called Dear Maya.
Yes, it's on Amazon Prime now. Anyone can. I think you can watch it in Indonesia as well.
Sure. Okay, let's have a look.
Dear Maya, मेरा नाम एड है। मैं तुमसे 20 साल पहले 20 मिनट में मिला था, देखते ही तुमसे प्यार हो गया।
Anna, ये क्या बकवास है? It should be something spicy, romantic, hot and sexy.
बहुत ज्यादा है।
उसकी situation भी तो बहुत ज्यादा critical है। 20 साल Anna. She needs a strong dose of love. I'm a sunshine girl, just wanna have fun. Ooh, I'm my own damn girl. Cute now. Shahrukh Khan kind of cute.
क्या लाइफ होगी?
कोई ऐसे क्यों रहेगा? I have an idea.
What?
अगर माया देवी को किसी लड़के से लव लेटर मिले और उस लेटर में लिखा हो, डियर माया, I love you.
मतलब?
Stupid. हम लेटर्स लिखेंगे। सात रंगों से
डियर माया, सुनहरी धूप के टुकड़े, नाचती हवा के झोंके, बादल, समंदर, लाल गुलाब, दुनिया का हर सुंदर चमत्कार तुम्हारी याद दिलाता है। तुम्हारा पेट।
मुझे लाल रंग बहुत पसंद है, द कलर ऑफ लाइफ।
निगाहों से जो
आप किसके पास जा रही हो? आप कभी मिली हो उससे? कभी देखा है उसे?
मुझे लगा ये सब बातें मेरी किस्मत में नहीं है। सारी जिंदगी इंतजार करती रही, लेकिन अब जाना होगा, लौट के नहीं आऊंगी।
वो अपना सब कुछ बेच रही है एक इमेजिनरी मैन के लिए इरा,
जिसके लिए हम दोनों रिस्पॉन्सिबल है एना।
मुझे यकीन नहीं हो रहा है कि तुम और इरा इस हद तक जा सकती हो। यू डिस्ट्रॉयड माय बेबीज लाइफ।
आई प्रॉमिस मैं इरा से फिर कभी बात नहीं करूंगी।
बिना एड्रेस के कैसे ढूंढोगी? You know how big Delhi is, right?
लेकिन ढूंढना तो पड़ेगा। आप इन्हें जानती हैं? माया देवी नाम है।
कब गायब हुई थी?
6 साल पहले। माया जी, अगर आप सुन सकती हैं, मुझे कॉल कीजिए on 9953949733।